Hi, I'm Taylor, and I am here to break down vinyasa flows. At our yoga space, we implement vinyasa flows through a lot of our vinyasa classes. We are a vinyasa-based studio, so it is very important for us to know that you are going through these vinyasa flows safely, structurally, and with confidence and strength. So I will walk you through the whole thing from down dog into the vinyasa flow and then back into downward facing dog, and I will tell you the names as I go through it, and then we'll start to break it down together. So heading into downward facing dog. Coming forward into high plank. And then moving through Chaturanga. Upward facing dog, and downward facing dog. Okay, so Adho Mukha Svanasana is a really kind of sharp upside down V position. Root down, your fingers spread really wide, pressing down into the circle of your palms and really deeply into the first knuckles of your fingers, where the fingers connect to the palms. Legs are long, they do not have to be straight by any means. If it bends, better to have you have some more length in the spine, definitely do the bend. Tailbone, kind of just neutral, not a heightened tip because that's gonna press your whole mid back towards the legs. So just that little bit of a lift in the whole hip girdle, but this kind of centering off of the tailbone. So not a massive tilt, not a really big tuck under either. We wanna find a really beautiful middle ground. Navel is tucking in towards the spine and almost getting heavy in itself. Lower ribs are drawn in here as well, and you're kind of feeling a connection with shoulders down the back rather than hunched up towards the neck. And then we'll come up onto our tippy toes to transition to plank pose. So get strong through the legs, round a little bit into the spine, whatever is accessible, and then land in plank pose. And plank pose, everything is strong. Legs are really, really strong. You're squeezing them. Hips have maintained kind of a level alignment, but really strong. Press down into the hands, get strength in the arms. All of this is gonna help you through Chaturanga Dandasana or low push-up. We're gonna shift forward a little bit to take the shoulders past the wrists, and then you'll bend the elbows and only come about halfway down where your elbows and shoulders are now in alignment. Legs are still really strong. Coming into upward facing dog, flip onto the top of one foot and then the other as your arms are lengthening and you come up. Find a little bit of a squeeze into your upper back, a root into the feet, and those legs are still fired up, really strong, hovering off of the ground. Almost feel like you're tractioning your hands backwards to send the hips a little bit further forward. Really big breath in, and then you'll send the hips up, roll over the toes, downward facing dog. We come back in. So going back to the alignment cue where I had mentioned that your shoulder and your elbow would essentially be in the same line when you've lowered to that full Chaturanga Dandasana. A really nice way for a cue for you, which you can use the blocks as actual bumpers to stop you from lowering lower than that. We really want to be careful that you aren't coming lower, because as soon as you go lower, your shoulder is going to roll forward and it's going to put pressure on your rotator cuff. So we'll come into high plank, or I will come into high plank, and having your hands behind the blocks because you are going to be coming forward, so you're going to be over top of those blocks instead of the wrists. So we're going to find that, shift forward. We're going to bend the elbows backwards, not out to the sides, bend them back, keep them tight to your sides, and you can almost rest for a moment on those blocks to feel it out. Arms are still active, core is still on, legs are still strong. And then even from this place, you can lift straight up into your upward facing dog and find that motion all the way up. Okay, so now let's run through it together. I'm gonna give you those same cues. We're gonna feel it out in our bodies. Feel free to use those blocks that we had just mentioned about as well. And let's go together. So downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, positioning the legs and the feet, tailbone relatively neutral in comparison to the spine. breathing. Belly button to the spine. Lower ribs in. Upper back is open, not collapsed, but still kind of pressing the chest towards the thighs rather than down towards the toes. Let's grip the hands. We're gonna maintain that grip through the whole flow. Let's lift up to the tippy toes, strong through the legs, round and ripple forward towards high plank. Rooting through the hands, rooting through the feet, in through the core, strong legs. Shift forward, inhale. Chaturanga Dandasana. Elbows stay really tight, lower only to that halfway point. And then up dog, inhale, come up onto the tops of your feet. Lift and lengthen and almost drag your hips forward and through, squeeze the thighs. Downward facing dog, go all the way up and over through the toes, landing back in Adho Mukha Svanasana. So there it is, your vinyasa flow. Feel free to comment below if you have any questions at all, or come visit us in studio and we can help you even more. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.